I was actually going to ask you if you've watched one of two shows or both shows. New season of Pen 15.
Watch the whole thing. Obsessed.
Okay, because I watched it twice already. So that I feel like we could do our own episode on, honestly.
Oh, God, I'd love that.
So much.
I've referenced it so much whenever anyone does anything nostalgic. I'm like, have you seen Pen 15? And then they're like, you've asked me this a lot of times.
Yeah. And then the other show was going to be, did you watch or will you the new Sex and the City series?
I did, and I have a funny story with it.
Oh, please tell me, because I had a lot of emotions and opinions and...
Okay, I want to hear all those. And for anyone that is into that, and considering we have a big male audience, I'm going to assume we're not blowing anyone's cover. But spoiler alert.
You guys like sex? You're fine. Yeah.
And the city. Anybody?
Sure.
Obviously, one of the big kind of surprises is Big dies.
Oh.
And he dies of a heart attack. Now, Kate, I'm not kidding. After I watched that, the next morning, James and I went to a CPR class.
Oh my God.
And I gotta tell you, Carrie, why didn't you fucking give him CPR?
She did
or
nothing.
Compressions or call 911? And the whole time I go to the CPR class, it's with the most Chicago guy ever. It was like an SNL skit. He's like, all right, welcome to CPR. Here's how we're gonna do this. He sounded like Mike Ditka, and all I kept thinking about was like Carrie and her high heels and like not helping Big survive while he was alive.
And how Big had a heart attack for a total of like minimum an hour because we saw him start to have it, and then like more time went by, and then somehow he's still alive a little bit when she gets there. And I don't even know.
I don't know, but all I know is she did not follow the protocol, and it was so weird watching that and going to a CPR class the next morning. It was so bizarre.
Oh my God.
Tell me your thoughts on the series. It's a lot.
Here's my take on it. Not the very last scene, but in this same episode, Carrie goes to Big and she goes, I want you to masturbate in front of me, which is too much. Especially because like it wasn't during like sexy time. Like it was like, hey, so you're reading a magazine, but like take a pause. You know,
it was so uncomfortable.
Really not cool. Anyway, so and then the whole joke is like, oh well, I guess Carrie doesn't masturbate because she has a husband she has sex with, and then her husband dies. So what is the lesson I am supposed to learn? Because she doesn't masturbate, now she's doomed forever to be alone to only masturbate. Because why was that in the same episode? Somebody tell me.
Oh my God.
I don't get it. It was kind of fucked, honestly.
Oh my God, I didn't even put that together, but it's brilliant.
Sisters who've seen it. We are the sisters who've seen it. Sisters, shooby-dooby-doo-wop, sisters, shooby-dooby-doo-wop, sisters. Sisters who've seen it.
Hello.
Hey, man.
Man, that's just like your opinion, man. I love that line so much. Far out.
Oh my God, Kate, who are we, man?
Oh, man. All right, I'm not going to talk like that the whole time because I would fall asleep.
We would be so boring.
So, we are the Sisters Who've Seen It, the podcast where two sisters who are not movie critics look back on some of our favorites throughout the years through a psychological, ethical, and familial lens. I'm Katie.
I'm Bridget.
And shut the fuck up, Donny. This movie, forever and always, has cursed anyone named Donny, because if you're named Donny, I would bet money this has been said to you. Maybe
poor
more than
Donny.
once. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Bridge, what's our movie this week?
Our movie is the 1998 cult hit, The Big Lebowski.
Talking about the dude, man.
I'm not Lebowski. I'm the dude.
The dude abides. Okay.
I'm the dude. Okay. First, we have to have a big thank you to Tommy, who requested this.
Oh, good call, Bridge, because we always seem to forget that. Tommy,
this is for you. We love you.
He's in California somewhere.
He is in Oakland, California. We know nothing else about you, but I'm going to assume maybe you like to hit the weed and chill out like the dude.
Tommy, do you drink White Russians in the bathtub?
Do you wear robes?
I mean, I said this last episode. I have probably too often dressed as the Big Lebowski. Not like ironically, like I just
like in COVID times, like how you live.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, my outfit, okay.
I've gotten some haircuts that look like him, so, you know, we've all been there. Kate, I was thinking about the plot and a synopsis, and I thought, the dude is in the movie and he can't figure out the synopsis, so good luck.
It's gonna be a little tricky, but I'm gonna give it a whirl. Okay, so we are in LA.
Yep.
Okay, we're in LA. Apparently there are tumbleweeds in LA. Don't think that's true, but this is how we start. And we're getting exposition from Sam Elliott.
Yep.
Oh my God.
What a voice. I love his voice.
Dude. I love his mustache.
Oof.
And voice. So you get some exposition of basically he's just describing our main character, who is the dude, who is Jeff Lebowski, but everybody calls him the dude and he calls himself the dude. And he's kind of like, doesn't work, very chill, likes to go bowling, has two best friends. He's a go with the flow kind of guy. Smokes a doob every now and then. He drinks his White Russians. Life is good. You know, there's not much to him. That's kind of it.
Totes.
But very quickly, he kind of gets like roped into this scheme where these guys bust into his house and they immediately start like beating him up and they're like, where's the money? Where's the money, Lebowski? And they're like, your wife owes us money. He's like, my wife? I don't have a wife. Look at me. I'm in a stupid apartment. And then the guys are like, oh, okay, bye. And then they leave and one guy pees on his rug before they leave, which doesn't sound like it's important to the plot, but this is important to the plot. So then we meet his friends, who are these three. Like, these scenes of these three are amazing. Like, these scenes should have won an Oscar award for something because it's just so awesome to see these three actors. So we've got and Jeff Bridges is our main character. He's great. John Goodman is his friend Walter. Walter is extreme. I think we've all met a Walter in our lives, and Walter in our life might be Jimmy, our brother. Sometimes.
He doesn't have the consistent anger outburst, but when he does, he's got the Walter energy.
Yes. And then we've got Donny, who is Shut the Fuck Up Donny, who's played by Steve Buscemi. And Donny's just a sweet little button who's just kind of clueless. He doesn't really know what's You're like a child who wanders into the movie in mid-movie, Donny. That's Donny. We love him. And so they all like to go bowling, whatever. So he basically tells his friends, yo, this happened. And Walter immediately kind of plants the seed of like, you're owed a rug. You better go find this rich Lebowski and get a rug, whatever. So that's what he does. So now we meet the other Lebowski, who is
the big Lebowski.
Oh, he's the big Lebowski. Oh, I didn't even like make that connection in my brain. Like ever. I've never stopped to think why there's a big in the title. Anyway, so he meets this guy. He's a millionaire. He has a like trophy wife who's played by Tara Reid. And basically he's like, these guys came, they were looking for money that they said your wife owed or something. But more importantly, they peed on my rug and I want a rug. And the guy pretty quickly is like, you're a freeloader, get out of my face, blah, blah, blah. But he ends up leaving with a rug because he's just kind of smooth like that. So then this leads to, he gets contacted by them again, by this rich guy, because now the wife is missing. And then they have a ransom note that's like, we've kidnapped her and you got to pay us $1 million. So they're like, we think these might be the guys who peed on your rug. So we want you to be the one to transfer the money. And then maybe you can see if it's the same guys and whatever. And then they're like, and we'll pay you. And he's like, cool. But it's not cool because it very quickly gets ruined by Walter because he's very extreme. And Walter is basically like, you know what? We're going to take the money because you were talking earlier that you think this wife kidnapped herself. This is a bunch of bullshit. So let's just keep the money and like, fuck it, because she's like alive. And then the dude is like, I don't know about that. But then they do it because this is what we're doing now. So that basically the transfer don't happen. It's a mess. us. We get like underwear thrown off a bridge or something. And so that's fucked. Okay. So then somewhere in here we meet Julianne Moore so she like goes and knocks him out and steals his rug that he just got, and then you don't see her for a while. You're like, okay, now our rug is stolen again. Awesome. Okay, so now the dude's like, we're fucked. Like, we still have this money. What's happening? Oh no, we didn't give him the money. Great. So then you're like, okay, whatever. You guys got money. No big thing. Except then his car gets stolen with the money in it. So it is a big thing. And then the millionaire Lebowski's like, well, the fuck? You didn't give him the money. And he's like, man, she just like kidnapped herself. And then they're like, here's a tow to prove that that's not true. And you're like, oh shit, a tow. But don't worry, because again, Walter is like, I could get you a fucking tow.
I can get you a tow.
You want a tow?
3 p.m.
I'll get you a tow. Oh my god, that made me laugh so hard. So somehow this leads to, he goes to the cops. He's like, find my car. And they're like, maybe. And then Maude, who is Julianne Moore, calls him and is like, hello, I stole your rug. Come visit. And he's like, okay. So he goes to visit her and he gets pretty much some backstory that like the wife, whose name was Bunny, was like a porn actress. And so she was connected with this guy named Jackie Treehorn who like financed these movies, but she was also friends with like a guy that was in a movie with it that they think is the kidnapper and yada 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 yada. And she's basically like, you give me the money and I'll give you money. And he's like, cool. But he's like, oops, but I don't have the money, but I gotta go find it. So then he gets a visit from like some guys who are basically like, give us the money, and they attack him and they're like, we're gonna like, cut off your dick or something. And he's like, oh no, but then they don't, they just leave. And you're like, uh-oh. So he's getting a lot of pressure basically from people. He's got pressure from the millionaire, pressure from Maude, pressure from these kooky guys.
Sides.
And then he's got to deal with Walter, who's a lot. Okay, so then again, we get more exposition that he's got to go to a doctor or something. That Maude is like, go to this doctor and get checked out, something. He's like, what? Okay.
He's good and thorough.
He does.
He's good and
gets
thorough.
Checked out, and no questions about that. So somehow we find a homework paper. We get our car. Okay, are you guys with me? Okay, the police found our car. It's like really beat up. And then in the car, he finds a homework paper from a child. And then Walter tracks down where this child lives. And they think that the kid has the money. And then the kid doesn't have the money, but it's a great time. Okay, cool. So we still don't have the money. Money is like we don't even know. We don't know what's happening. So then we go visit Jackie Treehorn. And he doesn't really tell us much. He's just kind of the same thing. He's like, if you get me the money, I'll pay you. And then he's like, I don't have the money. This little like 9th grader has the money or something. And then somehow he gets out of there alive. I don't know. He goes on like a drug trip. There's a lot of like drug trip montages in this movie, which are fun. And then he gets like arrested, but then he gets not arrested really quick. So that was kind of stupid. And then Maude is at his apartment and she's like, let's bone. And he's like, woo, okay, that was a lot of stuff happening, but let's do it. Good thing I don't have a job because I would have been fired by now, not go to work. So that's cool. And then you get more exposition that the Big Lebowski, who's the millionaire, actually isn't a millionaire. It was all Maude's late mother's money, and they just kind of give him stuff to run because he's incompetent man-child. And so that's plots. Okay. So then the dude is like, oh my god, this guy tried to set me up and there never was money and they were going to always pin it on me to say that I stole it or something, and he wanted his wife to be kidnapped and whatever. So then they go to confront him and he denies it. Okay, fine. So then you're like, I guess we're done because nobody, like, it's over. But it's not over because then we leave the bowling alley and his car's on fire. And then also Bunny returns because she just like drove somewhere and then came back and then cool. So anyway, back to the car on fire. So the car's on fire, and this is a great line. Donny, bless his heart, he goes, are these the Nazis, dude? Because it's the 3 like alleged kidnapper guys standing there. And then Walter goes, no, Donny, these are nihilists. There's nothing to worry about. So this escalates quickly quickly because they're like, you never kidnapped anyone. She's home. So like, go away. And then they're like, but can you give us some money? And then they're kind of like, I guess we will. And Walter's like, fuck no. Because it's really intense all the time. This leads to a parking lot fight.
A rumble.
Someone's ear gets bitten off. There's bowling balls being thrown. Someone has a sword. I don't even know what's happening. But, little Donny. Wow, that's really cosmic because we were just talking about Big dying from a heart attack. And Donny dies from a heart attack.
Wait, who's Big Donny?
No, Donny from the movie. And Big from Sex and the City.
Ah, yes.
They died the same way. Yeah, so he dies. And you're like, oh, that's sad. And then there's like kind of some scenes of like, okay, now we're going to go cremate Donny. So now it's just the dude and Walter. God help them. I don't know if they're going to make it because they kind of, I felt like Donny was a nice balance. And that's kind of it. And then it ends with them bowling because they love their bowling. And then Sam Elliott kind of talks us out. And he basically is just like, I miss Donny. But anyway, now there's going to be a little baby dude. And well, that's comforting. And you're like, what? And then the movie ends. That's the movie.
Holy cow, Kate.
It's a great movie.
Slow clapping that.
Woo!
Wow. That was freaking impressive.
Oh, boy.
Honestly, I think that was a really good summary because at one point, the dude tries to explain what's happening and he just gives up. To everybody else.
Yeah. Wait, so this was the first time you've ever watched this movie, which literally blows my mind. And you are older, so you don't have a nostalgia lens. So what did you think of it?
And I'm also a woman, and I think that matters with this movie.
Okay.
Okay, so it ended. I was entertained. I liked it. I didn't love it. I wasn't like obsessed with it. Then I started to read more about it, and I think it's a movie you have to watch over and over and over again, and it gets better and better. Because the more I read about it, the more I could see why people are obsessed with it and why it is highly acclaimed, even to the point that it's like in like the National Film Academy as like one of the best films, and like professors like write books on it. And you know, I'm not denying that and being like, oh, those people are wrong.
Yeah.
I just think it takes you a while to get to that level of obsession.
Right.
So that's my take on it. It's like, okay, it was good, but I wasn't like, this is Jaws level for me. But I thought that this was like beautifully filmed.
Yeah.
Entertaining. You don't really get bored. I was expecting it to be like a little funnier. And I think that comes with watching it over and over again. Because even you explaining it, I think it's going to give me like vibes of like, I'm going to laugh more as we talk about it.
Freaking, I laugh so hard.
How many times have you seen it?
Oh, a lot. I don't even know. A lot.
Okay. And the reason I mentioned that, like, because I'm a woman, I think differently. I know that this is like really big with guys. And I read this really interesting article on like why people think men are more obsessed with it. And it made a lot of sense.
Is it because there's a shot of boobs on a trampoline?
No, but that definitely doesn't hurt.
Okay.
But as we get into it, I'll talk about that because I thought, okay, I'm starting to like get it all. But this is the scene by scene because how else the hell could we keep up with this freaking movie?
Yeah, we'll get lost. Well, the first scene, like I said, I literally don't know why there's a tumbleweed. Like, I'm not sure, but sure. And you are in a grocery store and you see the dude. This is the outfit that I sometimes sport myself. Okay. What can I say?
This is the moment you are back in your hometown and you're like, I'm just going to pop out real quick to the grocery store. There's no way I'll ever see anyone I ever know. And then you run into everyone you've ever known and you're like, God damn it.
All your ex-boyfriend. Yeah, like everybody. He's sporting, it's just like a white t-shirt. And I don't even know if is it like pajama pants maybe? And like slippers or like sandals? It was
like plaid shorts. Sandals,
it's more
sunglasses.
The cardigan for me because he does wear a lot of like cardigan sweaters, and I'm like, oh, that's like me. Oh no.
And Kate, what does he pay with?
Oh, a check.
For how much?
It's like a couple cents. Oh,
69 cents.
Isn't that like illegal? Isn't there like a minimum usually for checks? Like, I don't even know. I don't even know. But obviously they're setting us up to think of him as like, oh, I guess you're like a slacker. You know, you're getting that just by how he's dressed, whatever. But like I said, right away he goes home and we got, I guess, action if you want to classify it that, because we've got these two guys who are like, where's the money, Lebowski? And they start giving him those freaking swirlies.
Yeah. Which is like pretty violent, but somehow you see right away, like, he's still chill about it.
He's
like,
so chill.
He's like, no, I don't think it's me.
Well, they're like,
No.
where's the money? And at one point he goes, it's down there, man. Let me take another look. And then that's where they're like, your wife owes Jackie Treehorn money. And he's like, do I look like I have a wife? My toilet seat's up, for God's sake.
I love that line.
Oh, it's
love
so
that.
good. And then, then those two idiot guys are like, oh yeah, I think the guy we were supposed to go after is like a millionaire. What? Guys!
Which I laughed so hard at that point, because then at this point the guy's already peed on the rug, and they're like, oh, I guess we should get out of here. And then they just like leave. Like, they're like, all right, well, see ya. My bad.
Yeah, they're just like, ugh, God, we're so bothered. I'm like, okay. And Bridge, that whole part was a cold open.
I wrote that down. I go,
open.
ooh, Katie loves a cold
Love
open.
A good cold
and
open.
Actually, because of you, I wrote that in big capital letters. Cold open. And then we go to really weird titled fonts.
Yes, very much so. And lots of bowling themes. And then I think right after this is we are bowling, or at the bowling alley or whatever.
I gotta tell you, I have never seen so many bowling scenes in my life.
Yeah.
And like cinematic, bowling slow from different angles, from the ball angle, from the pin angle, from the hand. I was like, holy shit, if I gotta see one more freaking bowling scene, I don't even know.
It's really like a love letter to bowling, honestly.
It really was a love letter to bowling.
Wait, you've been to North Bowl in Philly, right?
Oh, that's a fun spot. Yeah.
Okay, because every time that I've been there, and I don't know if it was just like, I don't know, the years that I lived in Philly, or if this happened when you were there and you just didn't know, but every time I've been to North Bowl, the only music they play is the soundtrack from this movie.
Oh.
I don't know if you knew that.
It's a good soundtrack, though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Since I've never seen the movie, I don't think I ever made that connection.
Well.
But that place you get loaded tater tots. And old shoes, and I could totally see just listening to the Big Lebowski soundtrack.
It's great. And this is where we meet Donny, we meet Walter, and, the dude's telling him about his rug that got peed on, and, the rug, it really tied the room together.
Oh my God. Okay, I gotta get this out, because I think you're gonna be mad at me.
Okay.
But Walter made me a little nuts.
Well, because he's a lot. I don't think he's one to like he's supposed to be annoying.
Okay, but I didn't even find it funny. After a while, I was kind of tired. And this is where I think I'd have to watch the movie over and over again. Also, can I tell you about a really crazy fan theory with Donny?
Yeah.
Okay, so people on the internet believe Donny is not real.
Oh.
Donny is a ghost.
A bowling
from
ghost?
Walter's, PTSD, Vietnam.
Whoa.
And the dude just kind of goes with it because Walter's crazy. And apparently in every scene, no one really talks to Donny besides Walter.
Yes.
And so Walter doesn't really exist.
Oh, you mean Donny doesn't exist?
Yes. Yes.
Oh
Donny.
my God, I love that theory.
Isn't that pretty? I was like, that's hilarious and awesome.
I mean, I don't know where we would have gotten ashes from that we put in a Folgers cup later on in the movie, but Walter could get you a toe by, 3 p.m. So maybe he could just find some.
Okay, let me go back to the other thing I read on why men love this movie. And these three characters describe it somewhat well. And when we get into the other ones, you'll see it. Okay, 1998. Yeah. For a long time, being a man meant going after power and money and masculinity. And the dude is pretty much the antithesis of that, where he's not trying and going with the flow, but everyone else around the dude represents pieces of this masculinity. So Walter's yeah, and aggression and over the top, and then Donny is kind of showing the opposite of it, and because of it he's always getting yelled at, and he's you're so weak and shut the fuck up, Donny.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of funny seeing the dynamic between the three if you look at it as toxic masculinity.
I mean, the dude's not, though. You mean Walter? Walter's the only one that's like that.
Walter, and then all the other villains around the dude.
Oh, I think if dudes relate to this movie, it's because y'all are slackers who don't want to work and just want to stay home and smoke weed.
Ooh,
I think that's the more relatable
she said
piece.
it. She said it.
I mean, I'm sorry. That's what I think a lot of people like about it. So here we are.
Well, the rug brought the room together, and he's got to go get his freaking rug or a new rug or cleaned, or I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know, something. But this is where we see Philip Seymour Hoffman, rest in peace.
And he committed to this character.
Oh, yeah.
You were like, okay, you are being this like butler. I don't know what you'd call him, but he's
a butt-kissing butler. That's who he is. I love when he's explaining, like, all the stuff on the wall about, like, Mr. Lebowski, whatever, and he's like, blah, 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 and the dude just, like, isn't really listening, and he's like, anyway, and he just keeps moving on, and he just keeps monologuing, and then he goes, and this is Mr. Lebowski's children, and then the dude's like, oh, there's a lot of different, like, races there, and he's like, no, those are the little Lebowski urban achievers. They're the kids he's paying for to go to college. Well, he loves them like children, and the dude's like, cool, can I get in on that? And then the guy laughs and he goes, oh, you've never been to college. Okay. I mean, this movie, there's a lot of themes, of course, where basically almost everyone besides his friends are taking a jab at the dude and pointing out like, hey, you don't like work or do much. So like, that's wrong. And like, you shouldn't be like that. Like, there's a lot of references like that. And he doesn't crack. He's like, this is my life. This is how I live.
No, he doesn't crack it. Even in that scene, like this reminded me of Dad. I feel like Dad would do this. He like touched the one award and he's like, don't touch that. Yeah. And then he like touched it again. He goes, no, don't touch that. And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And then he ends up touching it afterwards. And it's so smooth. And then ending on the mirror of the Time magazine where he sees his face. And he has all the confidence in the world. And you're like, this is brilliant. Yeah. But the Big Lebowski is a big old dick.
Yeah, he's a lot. And he comes in and again, he's like, why are you here? I don't like it. Who cares? We have the same name. I don't care anyone peed on your rug. You're lazy. You're a freeloader. And he's just kind of being a big old boomer and monologuing to him. And we're not here for it. And the dude literally, as he's like doing this to him, he puts on his sunglasses. He keeps like looking at him quietly. And then he kind of gets up and he's like, all right, see ya. And then he leaves as the guy is still like yelling at him. And right when he leaves the door, he goes up to Philip Seymour Hoffman and he's like, yeah, you said I could take any rug in the house I want. So, so awesome.
I love that. And then you just see the scene of them carrying out a rug.
It's great.
And you're like, this is awesome.
Yep. We get a Tara Reid cameo here. She is Bunny, the trophy wife.
Okay, I got some real Pulp Fiction vibes with all the feet stuff.
There was a lot, yeah. And there was a samurai sword later in the movie, so...
And a diner scene, and just
there was
feet
a
and
diner
toes.
Scene.
And I'm just like, it gave me a lot of that. But Tara Reid is, wow, what couple lines she has. She's just a big old forward hoe.
Yep. pretty much.
What'd she say? Her line is, I'll suck your cock for $1,000.
Yeah, and then Philip Seymour Hoffman is like, oh, we're so proud of her. Oh, she's very ambitious, And then she goes, Brand can't watch, though. That'd be another 100.
Oh, my God. This was at one of her first movies.
This was?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
After this, she did American Pie.
Oh. And then she was in the iconic movie, Josie and the Pussycats, which I might be the only person who... And then later in life is Sharknado, but that's not what I meant. God help us.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so he gets a new rug, and you're like, wow, life is great. Hooray for us. And then we have a scene. We're back at the bowling alley, because when in doubt, go to the bowling alley. And this is where we get intense Walter, because...
Walter's extremism.
What's the guy? Smokey, I think his name is. It's just like what you imagine a man would look like who loves bowling. Like, this is Smokey. And he's like, you stepped over the line, Smokey. That's foul. Mark it as a 0. And he's like, no way, man. And then, like, even the dude's like, hey, take it easy. Whatever. Who cares? He's like, this is a league game. This is a league game. And this is where Walter goes, from 0 to 100 real quick. And he whips out a gawk. Damn! It was scary.
Well, I'll tell you this, though. That set the tone for, okay, he was arguing before. Now he, like, is intense.
Yeah.
So this this whole like getting the dude wrapped up in this kind of like scheme and crime, you're like, well, Walter's in.
Yeah.
Because if he's carrying around a gun and he's going to take it out for like points in bowling, he couldn't care less about like criminals trying to like, you know, attack the dude.
Yeah. But then pretty quickly he gets summoned to the Big Lebowski's mansion again. And this scene's funny where Philip Seymour Hoffman's like, oh, we're all so distraught. And then they're playing the sad music and he's sitting in the dark in one room. It's so fucking funny.
Now that I've seen the ending, knowing that Tara Reid is like not really kidnapped and that this guy is like, strong men cry. Strong men cry. It's funny. Now that I know it was all fake.
Yeah.
But when I like watched it, I was like, okay, we believe you. What? Like...
Oh, so if you were there with him in person, you wouldn't have said, mind if I do a J, like the dude said to him as he lights up, frickin' starts toking.
And he never had a full blunt or joint. He always had like just
tiny
a little
clip.
tiny roach. Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, it's great. And then, so then now the scheme is, all right, we're going to have you be the one to deliver the money, but we don't have the instructions yet. So we're going to give you a portable landline. I don't know the technology on how that works, but it has a strap, so he carries it around with him, and I don't even know. But right after this, we go back to the bowling alley, because pretty much every other scene is the bowling alley, so I hope you guys...
It's like you said, a love letter to bowling.
You guys like the bowling. But this is where we see frickin' John Turturro. I swear to God, like, I have never seen him in a normal person role. Like, does that exist? Can we think of anything?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, he's really like a character actor.
Yeah, but he's always like a creeper.
Is he normal in anything? Is he normal in anything?
He was creepy in Transformers. He was creepy in this. He was in a really weird, like, Nazi-style Nutcracker movie where he was like Hitler, basically. And like, I don't know.
I mean, he's a pedophile in this movie.
It's horrible. It's fucking horrible. Although, as horrible as that is, I just love watching these three again. It's like this scene was actually a really long scene. Like it was very Clerks in that way. Because you remember how in Clerks it was like,
oh my God, yes, great
like,
reference.
Yeah, it was like an acting scene where you're like, there are no cuts. You were watching these three on screen for like minutes, and they're just going, and it's great because that really helped set up like their relationship. But you're right, like no one like directly talks to Donny except Walter. It's so weird.
I gotta say though, so his name was Jesus, right? This guy?
Yes.
That little dance though, that bowling dance was pretty adorable, and that freaking that giant purple like one piece.
Yeah.
What the hell do we call
like a
that?
Jumper?
Like yes, the purple jumper
or something.
And with matching purple bowling shoes and a purple ball and doing a dance. I was like, hot damn, Jesus likes purple.
All while the Spanish version of Hotel California plays, which again, North Pole.
So good.
Y'all got that on your playlist.
Good.
So yeah.
Well, and then do you remember that Donny kept going like, "I am the walrus. I am the walrus," and he keeps getting ignored. He's like, "Shut the fuck up, Donny." Oh my God,
so good. Yeah,
oh
and then that's
God.
where Jesus is like, "I'm gonna fuck you up in the game, in the league game," and this is where the dude goes, "Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man." Oh, it's great.
I mean, think about the reaction, Kate. Anyone comes at you with like aggressive energy and you just respond with like the slowest pacifist style, maybe.
I think I'd like to try that because that's not typically how I do that.
I would love that. I would love for you to do that. But don't worry, because then we get to him listening to bowling pins.
It's just bowling
playing on the rock.
It's just the pins getting knocked down.
Okay, this is his like, okay, your theory on like people that are just slackers love this movie because it makes them feel, I don't know, like it's okay to be a slacker, but he did appreciate these like simple things.
I mean, it's his one hobby, that's all he has is bowling.
Oh my God.
White Russians, bowling, smoking weed, and then like he has sex like once, but not like frequently. And hanging with your friends while bowling. So,
oh my God,
this is where we see Julianne Moore for the first time.
Ooh, she is great in this.
Yeah, this is an interesting character for her.
I feel like this would probably be really fun to play.
Yeah,
and Okay, do we jump right into her painting?
No,
Or
not yet. She
Okay.
just does like a quick hello, and then they knock him out, and then there's like the first of the trippy, like I'm asleep / knocked out sequences
Okay.
that has nothing to do with the plot.
Okay, and I looked this up because I was very intrigued.
Yeah.
I got some serious half-baked vibes.
Oh.
And that movie came out in January 1998, and The Big Lebowski came out in March of 1998. And I'm not saying that they like stole scenes from it, but it really is creepy on how similar, like the whole getting high and flying and like weird trippy stuff. But I feel like that's probably too close to actually like steal stuff. It just must have been like the times, like people were like really into weed in 1998. But it kept me entertained.
Yeah.
So I liked that. Like I read that when some people's that don't like this movie got bored, I never did because of those scenes.
Right.
Because I was like, wee, he's flying like Aladdin now.
Well, because it was like break from the plot, because the plot is confusing. So it's
Oh
nice
my
when you're
God.
kind of like, take a little breath for like a minute or two. Whew.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
But right after this is, okay, now we have the time. You got to deliver the money. Here's the money. They said you got to go alone. So what does the dude do? He immediately goes and picks up Walter. Immediately.
Okay, this physical scene,
Oh my God.
like the physical acting of driving and Walter screaming and the dude he keeps like basically admitting he's with someone, and then Walter like taking the bag of undies, chucking it out the window, and then Jeff Bridges reacting to that. That was gold to me. I laughed really hard at how absurd. And then when he falls out and the gun just shoots up the car, and then he crashes the car.
It's fucking
Like,
amazing.
I was like, this was the biggest fuck up ever, you know?
I just like when anybody purposefully like chooses to dive out of a car, which I mean I've only seen in movies. It is always so funny to me, and I always think to myself like, why? Like I would never choose to do that.
What is the movie? It's based in Sacramento. It's with the girl
Lady Bird?
Boom, Lady Bird.
She just tosses herself out. Yo, honestly, this was like same vibe. So she didn't have a gun though, so that's good. But
oh my God.
Yeah.
Like,
so
yeah.
basically, Walter's theory is she kidnapped herself. These guys are a bunch of fucking amateurs. He's like, I'm gonna beat him up, and that's why he dives out of the car. But then, you know, we crash the car, and then nothing. And then the people who we, I guess, are assuming are the kidnappers in quotation marks, motorcycle away, and the Jeff Bridges is like, no, take the money. Oh shit, no, it didn't happen. And Walter's undies are in the river, I guess. I don't know. We've never seen him again.
At first I was confused that he threw out the money and was like, I'll give them my undies as a scam, and then we'll keep the money, but we'll throw the money so they don't know we have the money. So I was like, wait, is the money in the river? Like I was so confused at what was happening.
They did want to do a handoff, but the guys on the phone were like, you're going to throw it over the bridge. And so he's like, there is no handoff. And that's why Walter was like, guess I'll have to throw my body out the door and I'll just hopefully be able to tackle someone. But yeah, so that's cool. So now, I don't know, we have all the money and we're back at the bowling alley. Everybody take a sip every time you go to the bowling alley. And the dude is pissed at Walter. He's like, how the fuck could you do that? That girl's going to die. And he's like, she's not going to die. She kidnapped herself, whatever. But when they walk out of the bowling alley, the dude's car is missing. Which means the money is missing.
Yeah.
So, I would be pissed.
Well, and I like, this is what made him so funny, is instead of him being like, okay, how do we find the money, or like, whatever, his thought process is, well, let me tell the cops.
Yeah.
Let me tell the cops my car is missing, even though it has like buckets of money in it, and like, I'm doing shady stuff too. He's like, well, that's the protocol. I'm going to ask the cops to go find my car. And I'm like, I don't know if I would do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I just was like, what?
He tries to, like, cover up the money thing. He's like, there was a briefcase. They're like, what's in the briefcase? He's like, papers. And they're like, Mr. Lebowski, do you have a job? And he's like, not right now. And they're like, okay. But he also is saying, like, and my rug was stolen. How often are you guys able to find, like, stolen things? And they're like, what? But then as he's talking, Julianne Moore, whose name is Maud, calls, and she's like, hello, I stole your rug. So, come visit doesn't
Okay.
mean. And you're like, what?
This had some serious, like, Tim Curry Clue vibes.
Yeah,
like,
right.
when she was like, hello, I'm your rug.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, well, that was easy.
Yeah, right? Like, oh my God. I know. We're really like pedal to the floor, honestly, with some of this stuff.
Oh
so
my God.
This is where we see the art scene, Bridge.
Oh my God.
Bridge, did you do this in college? And if so, did you wear clothes? Because why are we naked for it? I don't know. No one knows.
When they pull her and she is like rapid fire with her
my God.
paint, I thought she was like, she had like knives and was trying to like attack him. I was so confused. And then I was like, and she's naked. What is happening? What is happening?
No reason for her to be naked. I don't know. Unless that's part of getting into the artist.
I guess they
spirit.
took inspiration from like an artist that did this, apparently with like paint, like flying paint naked like this.
What?
And I'm like, oh good Lord. But her haircut, wow. Like her accent, she played this so well.
And she immediately is like, oh, does the female form make you uncomfortable, Mr. Lebowski? And he's like, I don't think so, whatever. And she's like, some men are intimidated by the female form and they don't like to hear the word vagina. And he's like, oh, it's fine. And then she just keeps talking about sex. And you're like, what? And then she's like, anyway, now about your rug. And you're like, why did we do that? But then we find out later it's because she's planting the sexy seed.
Oh my God.
But she says, I stole the rug because that was my mom's rug, so I wanted it back. And then he doesn't ever question the rug again, so fine. But this is where you learn, okay, Bunny was in an adult film called Log Jammin'. Which, like, this probably exists. I mean, I'm sorry. It just,
Probably.
And then as she's watching it, she turns back to him and she goes, this story is ludicrous. Oh, it's great.
You can imagine where it goes from here.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my God.
Well, we find out this is where she's like, my dad, who's the Mr. Lebowski, he took out the $1 million for this ransom from the Little Lebowski Urban Achievers Fund? Fuck off, Mr. Lebowski. How are they going to go to college? That's how you treat your children. But honestly, like, also believable from rich people.
Very
so,
believable.
Damn it.
And then you learn that he really doesn't have any money.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have any authority. And so the dude is like slowly collecting, as he calls, insider information, man. And she was the only one that was like kind of right about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which is funny after they keep going and you have all this complication. It's like, well, she just like told him what it was from the beginning, you know?
Yeah, because she's the one who's like, yeah, she definitely kidnapped herself. Here's all the reasons why. And then like, you're kind of like, yeah, it's making sense. But the very next scene from here is where he gets tossed into a limo with Mr. Lebowski and Philip Seymour Hoffman. And they're like, oh my God, you didn't do the money transfer. And he's like, what? I totally did. And they're like, no, you didn't. We got another ransom note. And here's a tow. And you're like, damn, a tow.
God.
What the fuck? That was some Blair Witch bullshit happening up in here. Because if you want a tow, I could get you a tow, Bridge. And if you want some teeth, I could get you some teeth.
Well, and that's why we had to zoom in on her nail polish and like, blow my nail polish. And you're like, I did appreciate from this movie that there is a lot of like tiebacks, right? Like we talk about the really good movies don't have scenes for no reasons. And like, I could follow that. I was like, okay, I'm following why we had to see that. But this is where he starts to play both sides.
Right.
He's like, oh, well, I got inside information, man. She kidnapped herself. And then they're trying to hide their kind of plot.
Right.
And this is where I was getting confused. And I was like, I don't know what's happening. I just know this guy's a dick.
Yeah, because you don't know at this point that the Mr. Lebowski is poor. You don't know that yet. So you're kind of like, oh, he really thinks the wife was kidnapped and he's trying to like get her back, whatever. And then the dude's like, no, she kidnapped herself, man. But this is where we go to the diner and Walter says, you want a tow? I could get you a tow. Take a sip every time we say that in this episode. And then this is where, again, Tommy, if this is you, kudos to you. We're taking a bath in our apartment. We've got our candles lit. We're smoking a J, and there's probably a white Russian sitting nearby. Okay.
And as he gets his place, like, beat to all hell, he goes, hey, man, this is a private residence.
Yeah, this is where so these are the alleged kidnappers, which are like German. They're German guys. They all have accents, and they just bust in, and they bring a ferret Bridge? Where the fuck was the animal advocates? Because I didn't like it. We tossed a live ferret into the fucking bathtub, I guess as a scare tactic. And then they picked the ferret out and the ferret's like, anyway. And I was like, why?
Okay, Jeff Bridges didn't have a lot of physical comedy, but when he did, I thought he was amazing.
Yes.
Because he lost it in that bathtub.
Oh my God.
And it was like just long enough that I was like, get out the ferret or get out. What did he say? He's like, nice marmot.
Yeah, he's literally, the guys bust in and they like walk up like aggressively and they bring the little ferret and he looks over the edge of the tub and he goes, nice marmot. And then that's when they throw it in. Oh I don't like it. But they don't really do anything to him. They just like threaten him and they're like, you need to get us the money or else we'll cut your dick off. And then they leave and you're like, well, you could have done that now, but okay, I guess.
They really were just like full of it. Full of it. But then we start to, is this when we find the...
Well, we get the car
paper?
back.
I'm lost.
He gets his car back, but the briefcase is missing. And then I just wrote the nihilist man. I don't know why. I guess this is where they talk about them being nihilists. I don't know.
No. So this is when, okay, so he gets his car back and he goes to the doctor, right?
Yes.
And he goes to the doctor and it's very weird on why the doctor wants to like make him take off his pants. Cause he's like, man, I got punched in the face. Like nothing is like a problem down below. And the doctor's like, please take off your pants. And you learn later.
Yes.
Like, what do we think he did?
Like checking for sperm?
Because
or like
then
STDs?
the next scene
I don't know.
The next scene he's like really happy driving and I was like, did the doctor like do something to him? Like what's happening? And he's smoking a joint and then he tries to throw it out the window and it bounces back and burns his lap. And then he crashes.
Yeah.
He's like lighting himself on fire.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, that was really fun. That I laughed like out loud.
That was great. And then this is where he finds the stupid little homework paper where it's like clear. I love Jeff Bridges acting where they zoom in on like his eyeballs here because he's like he's like just so perplexed, like trying to read while high while he just crashes his car and figure out like who the fuck this belongs to. But he, of course, brings this to Walter and oh dear, this is not good. So Walter immediately is like, found out where the kid lives. Don't worry. His dad was a famous writer for some show, but we're gonna go get him. Kid's name is Larry. He lives here. Let's go get the money. And then all three of them now we bring Donny, but Donny's not allowed to go inside because he's a ghost. So he's just sitting in the car. But they see this like convertible outside this house and they're like, oh, that son of a bitch, that 14-year-old spent all our money that was stolen, which like what? So they go in and this mom, you do not let weird men into your home at night.
I don't know what was happening.
No IDs.
I don't know what was happening.
And they just go, we came to talk to little Larry. And she's like, great, get in here. I was like, ma'am, no. Not good. But Larry don't crack. Larry's got a stone cold poker face.
Okay, he gave the dude like personality right back to him.
Yes.
Because he just like, he was more dude than the dude.
He might as well have been like, can I smoke a J while you do this? Because...
or he's like, I already smoked one. And Walter is crazy. He's like, you're killing your father or something. It's like...
And he's like, you see what happens, Larry? You see what happens? And then he goes out and he starts beating the shit out of this convertible. But it's not Larry's car.
Oh my
God.
God.
Random guy's car.
That's really funny. And then the random guy just takes it all out on the dude's car and you just see them eating in and out with like no windshield driving home defeated.
Yeah.
And honestly, you're like, Walter, you make everything worse. You really do. You make everything worse. But this is where I started to actually like Walter a little bit, where he was like, I'm really sorry, man. He like calls him on the phone. He's like, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to do it. He's like, are you still going to come bowling?
And then he's like, of course I'm still going to come bowling. Jeez. I'm like, oh my God, you guys.
Oh my God.
Okay, somehow from here, this is where we get to Jackie Treehorn, who I think might be a cult leader. This is my fan theory, because I don't know what the fuck was going on this beach. It was weird stuff. And like, I get why we had this, because it was just another person being like, I'm offering you compensation if you get me the money. So it's like, oh, you got a lot of people willing to pay you, but that's kind of it. There really isn't any other point to this scene. We don't learn anything new. And then he just gets like roofied. I think I'm not sure because we have a really kooky dream sequence here in the bowling alley. So
Oh my god, Julianne Moore is like a Roman soldier,
like
and
what is it? The like Viking opera singer, like
I don't even
Brunhilde
know.
or something.
And he like teaches her how to bowl, but then somehow flies as the bowling ball under women's legs, while the German guys are dressed in red suits with scissors trying to cut off his penis.
And Saddam Hussein gave him bowling shoes.
I don't know
Why?
what was happening.
What was going on? 90s. Oh no.
I do not know, but Half Baked, I'll tell you, man. This is like, yeah, man. But I didn't understand then why he woke up in the sheriff's office.
He was like, because he wakes up and he's just like wandering the street, and so he gets arrested. And again, you're kind of like, okay, so what's gonna be the point? And there honestly isn't much plot point because this is just basically where we see some, police brutality where he just kind of shit talks Lebowski, and he's like, Jackie Trujillo's rich, you're a bum, you're drunk, get the fuck out, I'm gonna throw a coffee mug at your head.
Oh
go
my
away.
God.
And I was like, oh.
I was like, did that coffee mug actually hit him?
It looked real,
so
didn't
real.
it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. I don't know
my
why we
God.
had those scenes. I have no idea.
I don't think we needed the sheriff scene, in my
No.
opinion. You could have just like woke up
Like,
on a street
just-
somewhere.
right.
But then we quickly see like a quick flashback to Tara Reid just like singing and driving. So you're like, okay, we're really believing that like this plot wasn't really real.
Yep.
And like, it was all like made up, and I don't know. But then, okay, so we didn't talk about this, but the one scene where he's afraid he's gonna get broken into, so he nails wood to the ground
Yeah.
to then prop the chair, but the door goes the wrong
other
way.
way. Oh
And
my
they just
God.
quickly break into his place. So when he's going back home, he trips over the wood board when he goes back inside. That was really funny.
He would not have survived the Signs alien attack because they would have been
No.
like, motherfucker, you didn't even board your door. We're just busting in here.
They'd be like, the dude board up the house, and he would just literally nail it to the floor, and they'd be like, no, dude. Oh my God.
So now it's Maude, and she is like, have sex with me, and nope, doesn't hesitate at all. And then they, I guess, have sex. We don't see it, thank goodness. And then this is where we get the exposition of, hey, my dad's actually super poor, and we give him like allowance money, but he's a man baby. And also, I'm trying to have a baby with your sperm. She goes, I wanted to find someone who doesn't want to be in the kid's life and who I don't have to worry about ever seeing. She's like, so that's you because you're like a bum and like you're not someone I'd ever run into normally. And you're like, oh.
But he doesn't even first he rips out his White Russian when she's like, I'm trying to have a child.
Yes.
Because he's like, are you doing yoga?
Yeah.
And then when she explains all that, he quickly is like, okay.
Yeah, he's
like,
like,
I guess...
"Oh, anyway.
I guess we'll see what happens. I'm like, what? I don't know if I believe that
again,
reaction.
this is like, I'm sorry, this is like a male fantasy of like, oh, I don't gotta worry about being a responsible dad. All right, do you? Whatever. You want to have sex again? Sure. Who cares? No condom? Radical. Like, I'm sorry. That's, Okay, so he gets really jazzed from this info and he's like, oh my God, I think I know what's going on because he's a poor dude and we gotta go. And then there's also a minor little subplot how he's been being followed by a Volkswagen, which has a private investigator who's trying to find Bunny for her parents. And then the dude's like, she kidnapped herself. And he's like, really? And he's like, yeah. And again, you're like, didn't really need it, but it's fine. And we go right away to Mr. Lebowski's house and lo and behold, there's Bunny. And I feel like she's running around like stripping. I'm not really sure.
She's stripping and Philip Seymour Hoffman is picking up her clothes as she's stripping.
And she had crashed her car into like a fountain or something. And they were like, what? And he's like, oh, we're so happy she's home. What the fuck?
God.
And you get a little turnaround because Walter goes, where's the fucking money, Lebowski? Because their whole thing is, you never gave us money to hand over. You were going to have us like take the fall and you kept the money for yourself and basically like embezzled it from this charity fund. And yeah, and then he denies it and it gets weird real quick because Walter thinks he's not really crippled, but he is. And okay.
Oh, that was not good.
No.
That was not good.
Yeah, so, okay, great, let's leave. So, where do we go, listeners? We haven't been there in a couple scenes.
Back to bowling.
Bowling alley. We don't stay there long, though, because we see them leaving the bowling alley, and this is where his car is on fire. And this is where the line is, where, are these the Nazis, dude? No, Donnie, these are the nihilists. There's nothing to worry about.
Oh my god.
So funny.
And when Walter starts this fight,
Oh my God.
he winds up like a softball pitcher with his bowling ball and flies it into somebody's chest.
Ow.
And then proceeds to Mike Tyson bite off someone's ear.
He does!
He like loses his mind. And I kept thinking, I understand how we have to like finish the plot with the Germans, because you had like the one side with like the older Lebowski, and then you have this other side. But after it was done, I was like, okay, so like Donnie's dead?
Donnie
like
dies.
That's the end. What Donnie? Like what?
I know.
I was like, okay, I've given up on the plot. Like I get it. I like the story, but I've given up on it. Donnie's dead. And then it kind of ends, right?
There's a little bit more, because they get Donnie cremated, and then there's the whole fucking thing where the guy's like, all right, here's the bill for the stuff, and they're like, that's a lot of money, and he's like, it's for the urn, and they're like, we're scattering the ashes, and they're like, well, you gotta carry them out with something, so they get a Folgers can. Which, we did not put this in a Folgers can, listeners, don't panic, but our grandfather did get cremated, and our parents took some bits of him, that sounds weird to say, they took some of his ashes, and they scattered them around in various places that were sentimental to him, and one of them was actually the park where our father got stabbed in the butt. I don't remember what episode that was we talked about, but it's in Brooklyn, Greenpoint, Brooklyn.
McCarran Park.
And I was with my mom when we did this, and I thought we were going to get arrested, and I was worried I was going to get ashes blown all over me, but thank God they didn't.
You told me the funniest story that he also did it in Atlantic City.
Oh, Dad did do it in Atlantic City, and I was like, Dad, we're like inside, dude.
And he, we've mentioned this before, but he uses a cane, so if he tries to do anything fast, it's never fast. So the story you told me was like, he's like, Kate, is anyone looking? You had no idea what he was doing. He busts out the ashes and flies it on the floor.
Yeah.
And then he goes to like sprint away, but of course it's like the speed of a turtle.
We were inside the casino. We were in Caesars. I was like, someone's gonna sweep those up. What the fuck?
And weren't you supposed to be like on lookout? And you're like, I can't be on lookout for how slow you flee away.
I panicked. That was before we got him a scooter, because we did get him a scooter so he could scoot around a little better, but that was pre-scooter, so I don't know why he didn't wait. Oh my God. Yes, so this, they go to a mountain, Walter makes a weird speech, all of Donnie's ashes fly all over the dude, and then again, you're like, God damn it, Walter, but then they hug it out and they're friends, and, well, we end up, where do you think, listeners? Bowling. Yes, and this is Sam Elliott, and he just monologues this out again, and this is where he breaks the fourth wall, which is always creepy to me, and he's like, I didn't like seeing Donnie go. That made me sad. And I was like, same, Sam Elliott, God! But then he right away is like, but there's going to be a little dude running around, and that makes me comforted. And you're like, okay. And then it ends, and that's it.
That's it. And I was just like, huh.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all I got.
I'll be honest. I think if you could go back to the Coen Brothers in 1998, I would say to them, can you make this like a huge TV series that like would go on for like 12 seasons? Because I think that's what is the best part of this whole movie, is just kind of seeing how the dude interacts in like everyday situations and how it is so counterculture to like the times.
Oh my God, I would love to watch that. And I want all of the same actors of the main three. I don't care about the other people,
100%.
but like you need them because they're great.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, Jeff Bridges, I know he's older, but he can get it. He can still get it.
What do you, like acting wise?
Oh no, like he's hot.
Oh, he is hot.
He's like a hot dude.
So, and I gotta tell you, like the whole, like think about the whole like man bun movement and like long hair.
Oh, yeah.
He was the first, man.
He even at one point wore like a little side clip, and I was still like, you know what?
Cute.
Oh, yeah. I could go with it. It's fine.
Well, and I mean, we talked about this way in the beginning, but some Val Kilmer long hair vibes. I still think men should have long hair.
Men have the long hair.
I'm telling you.
We all shave our heads. Yeah.
I like it. I think men look good with long hair. You deal with it. You do your hair. You figure out how to straighten it. You
clean the shower drain. Okay. And
what
prevent the
you
clogs.
figure out what happens there.
You buy the Drano, right. Oh boy. All right, well, Bridge, even though you only watched it once, would you watch it again? Would we watch or don't watch?
I think I actually have to watch it again.
Oh, okay.
And like keep watching it, and I think I'm going to enjoy it more and more. So this is an absolute yes.
Yes.
Kate?
Agreed. I mean, I watch this probably once a year. Like if it's on TV, I'll pick that unless I'm looking for something else.
I think you say that for every movie.
Well, maybe I watch a lot of movies, Bridge. Jeez. Get off my back.
No judgment here. Okay, if you like to bowl, you like to bowl. If you like to watch movies, you like to watch movies. Girl, let's do it.
And this is a fun movie if you watch it with other people too, because it's quotable. It's like a Napoleon Dynamite in that way.
That is, I think it's like, it's little bit of like secret sauce is like the quoting.
Right.
Yeah. So, but the Coen Brothers then, when they came out with this, a couple years later, they come out with Fargo.
Right.
So even when this came out, I think it didn't really do that great when it first came out.
I don't think it did right away. That's why it's a cult classic, because then it like got popular later.
Yeah, man.
Well, Bridge, it is my turn to pick the next movie.
Woo woo.
And what month are we in? Where are we? We are in
Is this as confusing as the plot to
hold on. Bridge, at this point you're like a mom, or else you're having a C-section.
That's crazy.
All right, well, I like this idea of us continuing to kind of appease our very dedicated listeners, and I actually have a listener pick for us.
Whee!
And listeners, if you are a longtime fan, you have probably learned on your own that even though we get picks, we don't always do them in order. Sometimes we do what we want, because that's life, and how else are you gonna learn?
Hey man, the dude abides.
The dude abides, man. So actually, we got this request pretty recently, and I will give you the background of this story.
Oh.
Okay, let me tell you a little bit about the movie. So this is a 2001 movie, okay?
Okay.
This movie, I think, was way more popular than it ever thought it would ever be, and I actually can't think of the last time I've watched it, but I feel like when I watch it, I know most of the lines because of when it came out and its popularity. But backstory on this request. This movie was requested by my best friend, Miss Jenny, and I was with Jen 2 weekends ago because we were having, it was like a birthday party for her fiance, Caitlin. So we were all there, and I stayed over, and it was me, and it was Jen, and it was Caitlin, and then we had our friend Julie, our other best friend Julie, and then she had her best friend from hometown, and her husband.
Wow.
It was a big old party.
Wow. You had White Russians.
What do we do during this party? We do power hours to music. So we're doing like throwback music power hours, which was a great time.
Just sit there in silence.
Which was a great time. But here's the connection. A very specific song came on from a very specific band, and it is an iconic song in this movie. And I said, hey, this song's from this movie. And Jen very aggressively said, no, it's not. And I was like, yes, it is. Are you kidding me? That's in that movie. And she was very adamant that it was not. And we got an argument. And I said, if I'm right, you owe me money. And lo and behold, I was correct. And she Venmo'd me $4. So, and then she immediately wrote in a request for this movie. So that's the story. All right.
Oh, I love her.
So,
oh my God.
This is the 2001 rated PG animated, I guess, movie. And here's the song. Y'all ready? Somebody once told me the world was gonna roll me. Next week we are doing Shrek.
Oh, this is a great movie.
Hey, now you're an all-star. Yeah.
Okay, talk about good characters.
Yeah.
Mike Myers.
Cameron Diaz.
Eddie Murphy.
And
Cameron Diaz.
John Lithgow.
John Lithgow.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. I feel like this was like a car watch. Like we watched this in the car a lot.
Probably. Yeah.
Wow.
That wouldn't surprise me. Because I'm telling you, this movie came out, what was it, 2001? So I was in like either 4th or 5th grade. And I remember in 5th grade, like we used to be able to watch like VHS tapes during lunchtime because we had lunch in our classroom. So like somebody brought in this movie and we all would just like quote it, like every single line, because we're little children, and like it was like the best movie ever at the time.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
I didn't have that experience. That sounds awesome.
But I haven't watched it in so long, and I guarantee you, like, I'm gonna know lines, and it's gonna be sad.
I can't wait. I'm gonna know it too, because I feel like with Mary, like this seems like this was like a movie that we're like, we could watch this movie movie because Mary's a little baby and it's cartoons and we also like it.
Yeah.
It has like the SpongeBob factor.
It does. It does. There are some racy jokes in it though, but I think they're racy in the way that a kid's not going to pick up on. So then the adult is like, haha, it's funny for me. Yeah. So.
Wow.
Well, and Bridge.
Yeah.
I just want to say, if you were taking a bath and you had all your candles lit, and I don't think you'd be smoking a J, but I have no judgment.
No.
And some fucking people bust into your private residence with a ferret, intending to throw the ferret into the tub, I would appear with a bowling ball, throw it into their stomachs so they all fall over and get knocked out, and then I would adopt the ferret and give it a better life and protect you from that. So, yeah.
It seemed to be more about the ferret, but it was beautiful,
you
Kate.
too.
It was beautiful.
Protecting you.
Well, Kate,
Bridge,
if you happen to, be a veteran and you went to the Vietnam War and you started seeing somebody named Donny and you just kept talking to Donny and I realized you were losing your mind and Donny wasn't real, I'd go along with it, just like the dude.
You'd be like the dude.
I wouldn't tell you you're crazy. I'd just say, that's our friend Donny. And then you're like, hey, I got ashes. And I'd be like, oh, you got ashes, Kate. And then, I would go with you even if you threw coffee grinds in my face as the wind blows. That's how much I love you.
I wouldn't throw coffee grinds on the cliff. I'd just go to Atlantic City and Caesars and drop them on the floor and then cane away very slowly.
But we'd rent scooters first.
Yeah, we would scoot away. Correct. That's the correct way to do that.
Woo!
Oh, and listeners, if you also love, well, I was going to say scattering ashes, but no, nobody loves that. That's not a fun time. Okay, let's try again. If you love bowling and smoking
White Russians
and White Russians and
complicated kidnapping plots
and the bowling, I'm going to throw bowling in there again because we always go back to it. You should write us a review.
Hey!
We love reviews. We love written reviews. You can review us on Apple Podcasts along with some other podcasting apps. We also have a website, sisterswhoseenit.com. If you scroll down on the main page, there's a form you can fill out to request a movie. So our movie, The Big Lebowski, was recommended by Tommy.
Thank you, Tommy.
Our next movie, Shrek, was recommended by Jen. And both of them went on the website, scrolled down, filled out the form, clicked submit, in random order, and here we are. So if you have a burning desire to do a movie, get on there and give a request. And
get on there.
Bridge, what else can they do on our website?
Well, Kate, I was thinking about your story where Jen paid you $4 when she could have paid on our Ko-Fi site, Kate.
But we were a little drunk because that was Power Hour minute 47 or something intense. So who knows?
So listeners, if you are like, wow, I am doing the dishes and it went by faster. I am going for a run and I didn't even remember how long I was on the treadmill because these women give me so much joy. Woo! I wish I could pay them. And guess what? You can. You can go on a Ko-Fi site. You can buy us coffee. You could just give us money. We don't even need to bet you if we know the song for Power Hour. Okay?
Yeah.
You could just do it. And yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
So check all that out, listeners, and we hope to hear from you. All right. Well, we'll see y'all next week for Somebody Once Told Me the... That's a little too deep for All-Star Smash Mouth, but we're gonna see you for Shrek.
Donkey.
Oh no, there's gonna be lines, Bridge, I'll tell ya.
Bad accents, lines.
Oh, yes.
Not to come drop buttons.
Oh my god, and now I'm thinking of the second Shrek, and I have a story about Mary that I'll share, but we'll save that for next time.
Well, see you then. You can listen to the story about Mary.
Yeah, see you then.
Love you.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Shut the fuck up, Donny.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Sisters Who've Seen It. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at sisterswhoseenit.com, where you can email us, request movies to be reviewed, and keep up to date with all things sisters. Also, make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. See you next week.